All right, everyone, we should be live. However, we have to wait 10, 15 seconds. It depends. By the way, we may be waiting quite some time for Beijing Biden. You literally never know when he's going to show up. So give this a minute here. Let everything assemble. Let everything... we got 22 minutes until Biden supposedly shows up, which means we can cover the ACLU selling out and other things before then, actually. Yeah, pull a Saki and be 6 hours late. Yeah, I should just put the live stream up and then literally never show up. That's basically what the White House does. Anyway, I've shared this out cross-platform. This is live on Twitch as well. I will be becoming a Twitch affiliate, I guess, fairly soon, because you only have to do, like, I think it's 7 streams in a 1-month period, and you have to have 2,000 people following you, which I do, which was quick. So that's kind of exciting. So for those of you on Twitch, definitely make sure to get other Twitch users to follow. I will probably be getting OBS in the next couple of days. Now, after a couple of more streams, I would like to get this on Odyssey, Rumble, DLive, and some of these others, because I'm kind of liking the live reaction thing. It's just sort of entertaining because it's something that I haven't done before, but at the same time, my forte is long form anyway. My forte is unscripted. Well, you know, if you're doing live material, extreme long form, it's just a matter of making sure that you stay hydrated. So make sure to take some lemon or lime, put it in cold water, and that's your voice for your live streams. My best advice. We're already at 1 BLU, which is 300 people watching, 1 Biden loser unit. That's the average amount of people that watch him do anything. It's less than that technically if it's a live event. Like, there's a reason that he never goes out in public when he can help it. Nobody's going to be milling around, except maybe protesters. The Arcadian 300 can't wait for the Biden live stream in several hours. Yeah, supposedly it'll be live in 20 minutes. My hope is that for once they're on time and they don't either push it back, which, like Jen Psaki last night, that was a shit show. I was live for almost 2 hours before Jen Psaki actually arrived. They pushed it back 90 minutes, and then they also were delayed almost another half an hour before she actually took the podium. But first, we have to talk about something, which is the ACLU completely selling out. Now they're saying that mandatory vaccination is actually a protection of civil liberties. I'm thinking back a few years when they started to say that they wouldn't defend people. The American Civil Liberties Union would stop defending people if it had anything to do with guns. I'm thinking, you know, they've completely sold out at this point. It's sort of like every other craptivist group. If there's nothing to fight, and if the pressure is too high, they'll sell out. It all depends on where the money is coming from. So they've been compromised. It's no longer worth it. Like, if you've ever donated to the ACLU, take the L and never donate to them again. Because at this point, they're just a bunch of morons. They're not protecting civil liberties, only if you happen to be a leftoid. But we're going to hope that the White House is on time for once. It's unlikely. It's more likely, maybe they'll start at the normal time, which is roughly 19 minutes from now. But they'll probably push it back further, or Biden won't show up for 5-10 minutes, something like that. I just hope that he's more punctual than Psaki was the other night, because that was a little bit much. Even by Psaki standards, like, usually she's a little bit late, but they don't usually push it back 90 minutes. That was actually abnormal. And I have a feeling I know why that was. I think it was because earlier in the day, you had the leaked transcript of Biden's call with Ghani, which completely undercut everything that he told the American people. He got a couple of softballs about it, but that's about it. It's already fallen out of the news cycle, which was predictable. Glow in the dark. If you showed up an hour late for the live stream, you would still be an hour early. Yeah, literally last night that would have been the case. It would have been roughly an hour early if I had. Uninspired. Ever play Smash? Who's your main? Back in, like, the days of the Wii or something, I think way back, I think I played Smash Brothers. I think. I haven't done anything like that lately. I'm playing Fallout 4 again for, like, the 20th time. This time I'm siding with the Institute. The Institute are kind of like left authoritarians. That's the problem with it. It's too bad because you can't side with the Institute and then do what your dying son actually tells you to do, which is make your own space and like make it over in your image. It's like, oh, well, we've got unlimited power now. Why don't we make an army of robots? They seem to be pretty effective. Fuck this synth bullshit. Tan Rat A, at this point you should expect a delay and do a pre-game meal and calf for the first hour. Yeah, that's basically what I plan to do. I'm going to be reading super chats and just rambling about things beforehand. John, $5, no comment. Diz 5, indica or sativa? Oh, my favorite weed back when I smoked this, which was back in college long ago, was White Widow, which I think is a 50-50 blend. It's very powerful. And I smoked it, and I was getting the really good, like hydroponically grown, feminized, you know, like hippie trippy shit. Like you can only get like $20 a fucking gram. It was extremely sticky. It was great at the time. I enjoyed it. If I hadn't overdosed, I'd probably be smoking weed right now. I'd probably be doing it on live streams, in all honesty. Chiqui Dogemeyer, Nick Fuentes has warned folks to stay away from upcoming media-reported protests. Thoughts on this? Yes, people should organize themselves, especially locally. Trust nobody over the age of 30, other than me, I suppose. It's almost like another hippie movement. It really is. Protests are being dragged out by a bunch of legacy media shills and corporatists, and people should be very wary of that. RNA or Roger, hey Sticks, just wanted to send some love. I'd also gladly offer my services in tech support if required. Linux for the win. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking of that because Windows 11 is a mess and it hasn't even, I think, released yet. For now, I can just use 10, and also you could revert to 7. It did work. I mean, I don't go to any sites that are going to give me a virus or any shit like that, so I don't know. The Grizzly, which is more irritating, Hollywood rebooting more modern franchises with woke politics or ruining classic fiction with them? The latter. Like if they made Jaws and it was an all-female cast, and in the end it was about how their diversity allows them to overcome, you know, the shark or something like that. They'll probably do it too. I'd write the script for it if they gave me enough money. That'd be hilarious. Sticks Hexenhammer destroys a franchise. Pretty boy Jeremy, speaking of Fallout and Fallout New Vegas, what's your thoughts on Joshua Graham? I have none. Ridley 20x6, basement flooded like crazy. At least we can clank. That happened once actually when I was in Rutland, way longer, like 15 years ago. We went to lunch and we came back and the washing machine downstairs had somehow, the clothes washer had pulled away from the wall, and there was like 6 inches of water in there. My mom, after they shut the water off, my mom went and got a pump actually at Ace Hardware. And then I was outside, you know, monitoring the pump for about 2 hours. It was pretty funny. Got to water the crops with it. Keeping America afloat. Sticks, could you please elaborate on your experience of ODing on weed? Lol, I thought you might be joking. I didn't OD on weed. I OD'd on something that was marketed as legal weed, which was called Spice. It was a freebase chemical powder, JWH 018, sourced from China, so that should give you an indicator. I freebased it. It was a bad decision. Although it did shock me out of my complacency of being like, you know, going to college and wanting a 9-to-5, so... all my success technically is built on me almost dying. Mark Peterson, hey Sticks, what's our next war? Climate change, California election, etc. Take care from Minnesota. Probably reinvading Iraq or going into Iran. Who knows? It's impossible to tell. The warmongers will never rest though. They want to test their new toys. The Grizzly, also I'm getting physical discs and leather-bound book collections to avoid wokeness and political nonsense injected in things I love. Long live Frank Herbert's Dune. Down with Dune 2021. Oh, by the way, speaking of books, something to show you. I got a copy of one of my own works here. The Occult Reference. This was compiled by me. It's a bibliographic work. A lot of people have asked me questions regarding where should they start if they're interested in the occult, they want to study it. This is the best thing that I can possibly recommend to you because it has a full bibliographic list of hundreds and hundreds of other volumes that you can get either for free. Sometimes I've edited them. Most often there are other editions as well. And so you should get it. An Occult Reference by yours truly, Tarl Warwick, 2021. I got my own copy of that because for some reason I didn't save the files for it. I'm not exactly sure how I forgot to do that. Anyway, Spencer, bye. Texas Coat Hanger Company. John, Sticks, when are you coming back to the States? Vegas, Rutland, misses you. Did you watch Beavis and Butthead in the 90s? No, but I did in the 2000s as reruns. I thought it was hilarious. My parents wouldn't let me watch it at the time because I was a problem child. And much like with Pee-wee's Big Adventure or anything like that, I just would have ended up emulating the characters. I would have gone even more crazy. Imagine if I had gotten a hold of a couple of beers or some weed at the time. By the way, it looks like they'll actually be on time today. Next up, President Biden delivers remarks on Hurricane Ida response. This will be funny. This will be great. Joseph Hunt. Sticks, can you give a happy 70th birthday shout out to my dad and fellow clanker Bill? Happy birthday, Bill. That's what I'm talking about. As we wait for Biden, though, I figured that there was one other thing to cover, which is the near ratioing of my video actually this morning with regards to the Texas abortion bill. I don't think that people would actually trust me or respect me if I shut up about things that I believe in. So I decided to make it anyway, knowing full well that a lot of my audience is anti-abortion, is like pro-life. You know, there's nothing else that I can do. At some point, it's like, my entire career, basically, as far as the videos have gone, has been about challenging people and putting my opinions out there. I'm not going to shut up for anyone. I don't care how many people disagree with my views. And if somebody like unsubscribes or something, and I'm sad to see you go, it's like, you know, you're a viewer. Maybe you're even a core clanker or something, but I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to pretend to be or believe in anything that I'm not or don't. It's just never going to happen. It's just not in my. It's not in my forte. By the way, there are almost 1,500 people watching us. There are less than 200 people waiting for Biden's remarks on the hurricane. Again, context matters. This is not going to be as popular as some streams. People want to hear Joe Biden say weird shit. And if he's just doing a scripted 10, 15-minute address on Ida, it's lesser. Like, it's less than Jen Psaki, and she's 2 hours late usually. Spyros Kamielis. All the best, Sticks. Glad to see them streams become a regular thing. A Greek in the UK. Yeah, the streams probably will be 2 or 3 times a week. That's what I'm planning for, because I'm having fun doing it, number one. I want to branch out further, number two, and it's lucrative, number three. It's good for, you know, subscriber counts. YouTube at this point likes streamers anyway more, and other sites, some of them like Twitch are basically just streaming. So the Arcadian 300. French Canadian maple syrup is better than Vermont maple. Only thing I disagree with you. Well, that just makes you wrong. No, Vermont maple, I mean, I have my reservations about Vermont at this point because it's, you know, becoming a left-wing hellhole and even anti-gun, which is something it never was before, but the maple syrup is still better. Alex Bogey. So we have contradictory info. Biden knew about the Afghan army collapse in his phone call to Ghani, and he also planned to leave 600 staff at the embassy. Yeah, he has contradicted himself. The bigger contradiction is that he knew that the Afghan forces were crumbling, but at the same time, roughly, he was telling the American people that wasn't the case. Oh, don't worry about it. We'll get everyone out, which we haven't. There's still several hundred Americans there. Everything will be fine. We expected the Afghans to fight, he said. But, you know, in private, of course, in his call, he expressed pessimism about that being the case. Bob Dahl, have you seen the Antifa teacher outed by Veritas? Yes, I saw that story. I find that hilarious. Adam THM, Sticks, it's funny to me that the people who say freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences will run with lies and say hyperbolic statements as facts. How do you address this with them? You don't, because they're in an echo chamber in their own mind. They've got cognitive dissonance. At some point, you've got to just start ignoring certain people because they're just beyond saving. They're beyond help. You know, they're never going to use reason. They're incapable of it. They've been programmed by society, by the man. They think that they're revolutionaries, but they've literally been programmed by corporations from the cradle and they'll keep that programming to the grave. James, thoughts on ArtFlow AI? I don't know anything about it. By the way, over 100 people watching on Twitch. Make sure to share this out because, you know, I might as well be competitive there too. There's no reason not to. The more sites, the better. Dailymotion is the one I cut loose because of ad revenue bullshit because I don't take ads. Do you have to take ads if you're a Twitch affiliate? Can I pay them to not do that? I'd be willing. You know, only a few streams and I got 2,000 people following there. That's not that bad. But yeah, as far as the ACLU goes, they have sold out. You can watch them on Twitter if you'd like to see that selling out. Basically, they think that mandatory vaccination is freedom for some reason. And it reminds me of 1984. It's like, you know, war is peace, slavery is freedom, you know, poverty is wealth, and, you know, horse shit like that. I don't even think that some of the people that work there even realize that. I'm surprised they haven't had more people defect. I know I would. If my point in being there was, hey, I'm going to help civil liberties, and then they're clearly trampling on them. Bob Dahl, do you think all these issues piling on at the same time, like IDA and abortion, hurt Biden or distract from the Afghanistan debacle? Well, the public has a very small attention span. Most of them, it's like 10 minutes at this point. So, I mean, the piling on can't hurt. It's a good thing, ultimately. As far as the abortion thing, though, I mean, and I won't mince words here, I agree with the left on that issue. I believe that abortion should remain legal. I think that the Texas bill will be ineffective because people simply go to other states to get abortions, or they'll do a coat hanger miscarriage if they don't have the money to do that, or they're underage or something. In the end, the same number of abortions are performed. You just have more sterility and you have more women dead. And there are some people that don't like me for saying such things. Well, I mean, you know, I regret that. I'm sorry, I suppose, but it's just my opinion. I'm gonna use my platform to express my opinions. I'm not paid to express other people's opinions. If you want that, you can go to the breadliners. They're paid to express other people's opinions. You can get all the daily marching orders from George Soros. You can get if you go and watch Vaush. Liebchen talks. White pill of the day, week long. Remember, the elite with all their money and power still can't fully control or brainwash everyone. They are desperate. Keep it strong. They are not as strong. Yeah, true. They're weaker. Their whole thing is Sun Tzu, which is that in their weakness, they project strength to try to get people to not fight them in the first place. It's called blackpilling, demoralization. Just dissuade your enemy from standing their ground, thinking that you're more powerful than you are, and then you've won the battle, even though, you know, the enemy could easily overrun you. And of course, a few people telling me my video on the Texas abortion thing was stupid. That's okay. That's all right. I'm praising Texas for their constitutional carry bill. I'm praising them certainly for defortifying their election. I think that's the best thing ever. Having Texas have fair elections and, you know, eliminating fraud is very, very important. And I'm not going to jump down Abbott's throat or anyone else for supporting the heartbeat bill. Because again, in the end, people will still get abortions. They'll just go across state lines. What I'm worried about is that certain people, underage individuals, people in certain religious communities, and the poor within more central Texas, they're going to end up sterile or in some cases dead. And that will happen. It happened before. That's one of the impetus behind Roe v. Wade, which I realize is a federal level thing. The idea that abortion can't be regulated at the state level has nothing to do with Roe v. Wade. The right wing is correct on that. What I would say is, in the end, it's almost the last gasp of evangelocondom with regards to moral policing. And it's not really helpful at a time when we're having a public debate over censorship anyway, or over state control. I'm not interested in the state controlling anything more than it already does. If anything, I think we should go back 200 years in terms of the scope of the state. Mr. Rass Lion, Sticks, can you imagine H.R. Geiger designing Pokemon cards? Oh, yeah. That'd be insane. He did all of that surrealistic, like horror artwork back in the day. It's like everything looks kind of like Alien versus Predator, I suppose. Mark Thrasher, you're an honest and real independent, Sticks. Yeah, and that's the other thing is that some people want me to be in an echo chamber. I think the leftoids that hate me want me to be in an echo chamber worse, actually. I have no doubt that some of those people jump down my throat too, pretending to be far right. And the reason why is that they want me to recede into that echo chamber so that they can peg me more easily. Now, that's not going to happen, dude. I have my own views, and I'm going to use my platform to express them. I don't care about, if somebody doesn't like it. I may value their opinion, but I still think they're wrong. MW, thoughts on the FRT-15 trigger situation? ATF trying to redefine an aftermarket trigger as a machine gun. I haven't heard about that. I'll have to look it up. The ATF is run by morons, though. Ryan H. Sticks, I'm fundamentally pro-life because I've never heard a convincing argument it isn't a human life. If I don't believe it, I'd share your position. That may be true. Here's the thing. Let's say under Texas law, you have a baby, fetus, whatever you want to call it, and you're 6 weeks in and you don't detect a heartbeat. So under Texas law, you can have an abortion. Let's say that another person has it at 6 weeks. It does. They can't. So do you think that life begins when the heartbeat begins? No. It begins at conception. Then why would you even support the Texas bill? It still allows for abortion. And by the way, anyone where a heartbeat is detected, it'll just go across state lines. How many lives have you saved? The answer is 0, according to your own beliefs. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you haven't solved any problem that you yourself are actually addressing. The problem is still there. The abortion still happens. It can even happen sometimes. Maybe you don't have a heartbeat detectable at 7 weeks. Maybe the stethoscope is broken. Maybe at 8 weeks, there's no heartbeat detected. Maybe there's some sort of congenital defect. The Arcadian 300, just after the release of QR vaccine passports, the personal info of Quebec politicians were hacked because of it. Maybe there is a God. Yeah, I don't believe in doxing, but public officials aren't people in the same way, so yeah, whatever. Rachel S. I groom dogs and cats every day for 10 hours. When I'm not listening to books, I listen to you and a few others. I'm very happy with the live streams because your usual videos last me about half of a dog. Liz found that funny. I'm glad for that. I'll try to do, a couple live streams a week. I'm thinking 2 or 3 roughly. It kind of depends because sometimes like if Kamala goes live, definitely I'm covering Kamala because then I can do my Squidward impression. With Biden, it's kind of important. I mean, Hurricane Ida, nobody really cares, but he might say something off the wall, so I have no choice. With Psaki, it's more touch and go because she's constantly goddamn late. How are we on BLUs? Yes, we're at 8 BLUs at the moment. 8 Biden loser units. Probably more people than at peak will be watching the White House stream. Nelson's TAS and Game Archive. Shout out to the hard bastard. New Vegas is #1, Sticks. New Vegas has some great moments. RPG-wise, certainly better than 3 or 4. But is somewhat smaller, far more glitchy, and has some various problems. I'm waiting for Fallout 5. I still have hope that they'll re-inject RPG elements into it. I'm interested in seeing where it takes place as well. I had guessed that Boston was likely for Fallout 4. My hope is maybe it's New York. It could take place in New York. It could be San Fran. It could be Denver, someplace like that. Maybe it'll take place in Texas. That'd be funny as fuck. Maybe they'll really make me happy. They'll make a DLC that takes place in Vermont. Callahan, jump down, trying to find it. Callahan SF2211. Sticks, if it could be proven that an aborted human could feel pain, would this change your point of view? Yes, it actually would. But there's no way to prove that. And of course, in order to feel pain, you need to have a reasonably developed brain. By the way, I will point out that the Bible points out that life begins at the quickening, which is not until 3 or 4 months. I'll point that out for people who have a religious opinion with regards to abortion. Bobo, hey Sticks, people are going to look at CP anyways. Why regulate it? You have a very flawed argument in regards to abortion, and you know it. Well, yes, but children are already obviously persons covered under the Constitution. That sounds like an apples to oranges comparison to me. And again, I mean, you have a difference of opinion. That's perfectly fine. Alex Bogey, ACLU did sue when Trump got banned from Twitter. Didn't seem to go very far, did it? They took their lowest class underpaid lawyer and put him forth on the case. Adam E., check out the Keltec P50 chambered in 5.7. I want a Banshee in 5.7. That's one fucking hell of a gun. Adherent of Lady Columbia, personally, I believe the detection of brain activity or the basis of self-awareness is better than the automatic pumping of atriums and ventricles. Yes, in which case it would be at 3, 4, or 5 months. Again, depending on who you choose to believe, that's fine. That would be potentially a reasonable regulation. I mean, 99% of women abort in the first trimester. A significant majority don't even have a physical surgical procedure. They have a procedure that involves getting a pill. That's fine. But what Texas is doing is stopping it at 6 weeks. Well, you know, a lot of people until the 4th or 5th week, they don't even know they're pregnant. Let's say you had your period, you get pregnant within the next 72 hours or something. 4 months, 5 months go by, you've missed a period, maybe you have work or something like that. The problem is that under Texas law, now you have to go out of state. You're still getting the abortion. So, you know, according to people who believe that that's murder, the murder still occurred, so you haven't stopped anything. Or they potentially, and this is the real problem, they puncture their cervix with a clothes hanger or a pin or something to simulate a miscarriage. They go in under the medical emergency exemption. They will still get an abortion, but maybe they end up sterile. Maybe they end up dead. They get sepsis or something. They end up fucked up for life. I don't see how this is ethical. I don't see how it's mercy or religiously moral or anything like that. I just see it as the state intervening in a private decision that should be left private. And I don't mince words about the fact that I believe that. Nelson's TAS and Game Archive. Try the Fallout mod Old World Blues and Hearts of Iron 4. Sounds interesting. I got a bunch of mods. By the way, when I say that I really like Fallout 4, that is with quite a few mods in it. And not just for textures and weather and stuff, although those are great. Like the unofficial Fallout 4 patch is the end-all be-all. You know, like, you know, you'll find more army helmets in the game, so to speak. It helps with 1,000 different little glitches and stuff. There are about a half a dozen mods that I use. Like I've got the Synth Follower Grenade mod, because it's sort of like a compromise with the overpowered synth mod that they had for the Synth Relay Grenades, which would spawn 3 Gen 2s. That's overpowered for the cost in game, because that'll wipe out, you know, an entire location almost. Having one synth follower, though, and then paying the same amount per grenade makes sense. I've got the Touch of Green mod. We Are the Minutemen, which helps them level like any other faction does. And it just makes the game a little bit more, you know, sort of there. But one thing about Bethesda, this is the one thing that no one ever complains about. They don't mind if you mod their games, number one, and they pay attention to the mods from the last title, number 2. If they pay attention to the mods people loaded onto Fallout 4, Fallout 5 is going to be one hell of a game, as long as they re-inject more RPG elements. Toasty, abortion should be permissible up until 120 months. I'm reminded of that meme of the very edgy dude in the leather jacket with a sign that said, "Hail Satan, abort everyone." Red Eye Orb. Loving these live streams. Sticks laughed really hard at the Biden speech when everyone was just bored. Oh yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm having a great time. Why the hell would I want to stop doing this? Sigil Stone 17. You should look into Ben Carson's comments on abortion. He asserts unborn children do feel pain. Well, I mean, for the first few weeks, it would be impossible because it's not even a neural network. You know, I would like to see the scientist that is determined absolutely, yes, indeed, this week-old fetus is capable of feeling pain. Not sure about that. If you can show actual scientific studies into it. But I mean, it'd be verboten to even conduct such studies. It's one potential problem. MW, heard of the Fallout 4 New Vegas mod? New Vegas remade in the Fallout 4 engine. Way better graphics and gameplay with all the New Vegas features. That sounds interesting. I hope it clears up some of the glitches. Deus Flex. Hey, Sticks, agree with your assessment on the Texas abortion law, but I wonder if this will force enough leftists to look in the mirror and recognize the hypocrisy of vaccine mandates, unless I'm being unreasonably optimistic. While I wish that would happen, and bodily autonomy would be the primary thing here, really with them, it's about idpol, it's about identity politics. So the fact that it has to do with women is the only thing they care about. They will not equate it to vaccine mandates whatsoever. That's a guarantee. Isaac Desormo. I'm Texan. Don't care about abortion unless taxpayers subsidize it. It's your house. You take care of it. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, you have a bunch of kids that, either aren't wanted or aren't capable of being taken care of by the mother. You get a single family, a child that's the result of rape or something. And then the taxpayers pay for it. I hate to sound a little bit cold here, but, at some point you're not improving society either. Mr. Ras Lion, Cyberpunk or Warhammer 40K, which would you rather live in? Neither. I don't give a shit. I'd rather live in Skyrim, honestly. That'd be cool. I'd be an alchemist. Trust me, that'd be my job. I'd have a nice mushroom garden. David Scheid, what is your gamer tag? I don't do that shit. I just play games. I do it all single player. I don't want to play with other people. I don't want to socialize on gaming. The whole point of gaming is, hey, leave me alone. Jason, women in Texas who want an abortion now could just get the vaccine. Yeah, that's the odd part. We're having a cultural conversation about whether the vaccine potentially could cause harm to a fetus. And then they pass this. Bob Dahl, don't you think it's hilarious the far left hate capitalism, but as soon as a corporation bows to BLM or LGBT, they praise and love the corporation? Oh, it's good branding. They've been doing this for years. They used to do this in the Cold War. They would just fly the American flag. Well, our washing machines were already good. But now, have you heard of the new Star-Spangled 2000X? That's the same washing machine, but it's red, white, and blue. Fucking buy it, you fucking cuck. They used to do this all the time. They still do. Eric S. My New York City house got wrecked in Ida. 10,000 plus in damage. Fun. I feel sorry for you, dude. We know a little bit about water damage here. we had a little bit of a problem with the washing machine actually about a week ago. It got cleared up. Thankfully, we were here. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been cleared up so easily. It would have been a problem. The Arcadian 300. My problem is that women now treat abortion as contraception in 2021 instead of taking some personal responsibility. That is not true. There are some people that do that, but by and large, no. No, that's not really a thing. The vast majority of abortions also are in the first trimester. In fact, I think the majority would conform to the Texas law. That's the irony of it. They're addressing a problem that technically doesn't exist among most people. Most people don't say, hey, you know what, I'm going to wait until 8 months, then claim I'm miscarrying and have it pulled out, and then put it in a jar or something. There's a meme on 4chan years ago about that shit. Silver Stacks, a penny for your thoughts on the 3 estates of the realm and the 4th estate and the skyrocketing power of the 5th estate. If that's a game or a book reference, it's gone over my head, my dude. HF, hey Sticks, did you see Cardano break $3? Also, do you have your heart set on any specific firearms? I'm building an armory myself. Lol. Yeah, I want a 22 cal rifle, just something to plink with and or garden defense. I want a 1911 in 45 because it's sort of iconic. I know 45 isn't the best round of all these days, but it's an iconic weapon. Reliable, looks sexy. I want a Banshee pistol in 5.7, a shotgun. Like to get some more. Yeah, I'll probably have an armory at some point, I'm not even ammo-sexual or anything like that. It's just guns are kind of cool. They make a cool noise. They do cool things like, kill people that deserve it. The American, thank you, Sticks, for being a formidable opponent to wokeness. Oh, there's a million more formidable opponents, and they're growing every day in power. Isaac Desormo, meant tax money shouldn't go to abortions or free vaccines. The government needs to stop stealing from me. Yeah, I agree. I don't have any problem with defunding abortion. That's perfectly fine. Private charitable groups can do that themselves. I just think it should be safe and legal. Serious Joker, been watching for several years. Thank you for being the nail that sticks out in society despite the pressures that can come with that. Thank you for being you, Tarl. I enjoy thinking on your ideas. Well, there's many more to come. Thank you very much. Chico Cortez, why does Biden choose to speak while most people are at work? Why can't he do it around, 6 p.m.? I don't know. He doesn't want to be heard. He knows that he'll be ridiculed by people like me. We got almost 3,000 people right now watching me fucking rant about super chats. There's only 400 people waiting to watch the goddamn asterisk president speak. I loved it. Earlier, someone was trying to ridicule me, and they're like, whoa, there's other streams like Fox and CNN and stuff. Okay. This is the official White House stream with almost 2 million subscribers. I think I'm doing my part. And there are plenty of other people that are going to ridicule the goddamn stream. President-elect Pressure 609. If Styx was a grifter, I'd give him more money despite the parasitical commies in chat. Well, some people that criticize me, and they're not commies or anything, are being parasitical. Sometimes just in a disagreement. And I respect that. I have no problem with anyone if they disagree with me on abortion, gay rights, guns, taxes, anything else under the sun. That's perfectly fine. I think it's childish to throw the baby out with the bathwater and not listen to someone simply because you have one or two things you disagree with them on. That's okay. Sigil Stone 17, check capitalwasteland.com. Redoes Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Ooh. Yeah, Fallout 3 redone with Fallout 4 graphics. That I can get on board with. Dr. Nigsop McChortle. I can't say your entire name. I'm sorry, dude. If you have an edgy name like that, I say it out loud, I can get in trouble. I think the abortion debate is complicated unless you live in a community that would force a woman to have a rape baby or a community that is willing to abort a baby at 30 years old. You see, the problem is the Texas law would force her to have the rape baby if a heartbeat is detected. And the fact that there's a medical exemption for emergency means that nobody's going to listen to the law. This entire left-wing canard with regards to, well, people will be paid up to $10,000 to turn you in. Well, no. You have to establish that it actually happened. How are you supposed to do that retroactively? The doctor's going to get prosecuted. He's going to admit that there was a fetal heartbeat or something like that. It's fucking stupid. It's not actually going to work. And you had laws similar to that before Roe v. Wade, which were addressed by Roe v. Wade. And the problem is they didn't actually work. The poor that can't travel or something would puncture their cervix. People who are more wealthy, the Dole family, the Clinton family, the Bushes, laws for thee, not for me, they would go to Canada. They'd still get their abortion. So what the hell is the fucking point? Alex Bogey, abortion should be mandatory. In fact, we should use the stones freed up from Afghan and repurpose them to patrol the streets for expecting women. The stones? I don't know what the stones refers to. Again, I've seen the edgy posts about abortion. Alex Bogey, I meant drones. Oh, drones. Yeah, you could do that. Be about the same overall effect. Brazen Bran, do you think that Texas ruling on abortion could be used as a precedent to mandate the jab? No, because it's apples to oranges, but it will be proclaimed by leftoids as similar, and that's another worry. They'll use it as leverage. The irony is that the left will use this as political leverage with regards to vaccines. That's also a guarantee. Keeping America afloat. Happy to pay for your consideration. Please check out America Floats on all new tech platforms. Maybe you'll see some overlap. Thank you, and keep America and freedom afloat. So yes, Keeping America Afloat. A shout out there through their super chat. Dr. Nigsop McChortle. Guns are beautiful works of functional art. Look at Smith & Wesson's 686 or the action and design of an AK and tell me that's not art. The biggest art, I think, is technically it'd be the 1911 or some of the Colt revolvers or something. I'm a revolver man. I'd like to have a whole collection of revolvers. They're not as functional in some ways, but they're very, very easy to clean, very, very easy to maintain. Stopping power, depending on the caliber, of course. One thing I hate, and I don't know why anyone would buy one, is like a revolver with a barrel this long. Some people have those, and I think that it's just, at some point, it's just for show. It's not actual for function. You're not going to carry that shit around. You'd be more likely to carry a little 22 snub nose or something like that. I like my normal size 22, the HR Sportsman. It looks iconic. It looks exactly like a Western revolver. It's great and accurate as fuck. Scarfy the Strange. I thought Jesus cured the leprosy a long time ago. I guess they needed the next Jesus lookalike, and you were the closest. Yes, the leprosy people, I would have donated, but those people only usually take cards. And I'm not willing to do that for security reasons. Otherwise, I'd hand them, I'd give them some euros. Kusaku, and I'm probably mispronouncing that name, tried restricting abortion in Romania. Surely we can look at them for negative examples of such policies. Also, Ruger SP-101 for backup carry. I'll look into that gun. Yeah, the problem is abortion bans don't work either. So what's the fucking point? Bobby Lane, on principle, I agree with you about the abortion law, but practically I love it. It makes Californians from wanting to move here and flip the blue state. Well, yeah, there is one advantage, which is now more blue staters won't move to Texas. In that sense, I guess it's a win in a limited, bizarre way. Sigil Stone 17, there's so many lurid tales of coat hanger abortions, but no first-hand accounts. I smell a rat. Actually, there were plenty of documented situations of women becoming sterile because of that. I'm not saying that that was the most common outcome. In a lot of cases, they would just have the baby, and then it either ends up in an orphanage. Great. A lot of people don't want to adopt, so that kid gets taken care of by the state, which means they're indoctrinated and it costs a lot of money. Or they're born to a single mom who's like 15, 16 years old, still taken care of by the state. Maybe they're less indoctrinated, but they're raised by some single parent who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Wonderful. Now, that's moral, by the way, by some societal standards. Choke point. As Ramsey Paul said, how many abortions are actually the result of rape or incest? Well, that's inconsequential. Literally inconsequential. As long as there's one or two, then the person should be able to have the abortion, but there's no exception in the law. That doesn't really matter then, does it? D. Bobcow. Sticks, have you played Psychonauts? The sequel was just released a few days ago. I've never heard of it. Yeah, that beeping was not an explosive. It was dinner. Fajita, chicken, and other goodies that Liz is cooking. Scarfy the Strange. We were also supposed to stop the Taliban from getting weapons of mass destruction. I guess Joe forgot about that objective. Well, they don't seem to have chemical warheads or anything like that. I guess that's the one silver lining on the shitty withdrawal. He's not even talking about this in this chat. By the way, he is late. He's like 20 minutes late already, which I think everyone expected. Glow in the dark. Just another hour to go before the Fed stream starts. Yeah, it says we will begin shortly. Let's reload this. Yeah, who knows when it's going to go live. Started streaming 31 minutes ago. Wonderful. Forgiven one. I don't always agree with you, but I would fight to the death to make sure you were able to put your opinion out there. See, I feel the same. There are lots of people. In fact, the majority of the U.S. population disagrees with my very, very liberal take on abortion. That's okay. They have the right to disagree, and so do I. And I'm going to disagree. Jaden G. Hey, Sticks. I have been a fan since 2016. Did you hear about the Antifa teacher in California? Yes, I already addressed this earlier in chat. I was at the protest, and we got him fired. More protests are coming. Yeah, there's a lot of leftoid teachers out there. Take over the school boards. That's the way to do it. Toasty, if this abortion bill will cause more women to want their cervix punctured, I'm on board. They used to call me needle dick, you know. Oh, jeez. My audience a little bit edgy at times. Wouldn't trade it for anything, by the way. Rinzier D. As a Romanian, I can tell you that when Cusco, the dictator, banned abortion, all that ended up doing is hurt and kill women and made a ton of orphans because women would give birth and put them up for adoption. Look it up. Yeah, that used to happen in the U.S. It was a big problem. It's interesting to see some libertarian that wants to have no social network also want to have 1 million extra orphans. It's like, I don't know how pragmatic an idea this is. I think it's utopianist bullshit. Conundrum 5087. Did you see the footage of the Taliban flying a hanged man with an American helicopter? Yes, I did. They're also having parades in and around Kabul at the moment with U.S. armor. The Grizzly, Nikola Tesla or Thomas Edison? That would be Tesla. Tesla was better. Who had the better ideas for power and electricity in the U.S.? Tesla. Technically speaking, you have to combine both technologies, the alternating current, the direct current, to have full everything. Tesla's idea overall was better, but the problem is he was very antisocial and he was not good at branding himself. I guess Edison at one point electrocuted an elephant using an alternating current to show how dangerous Tesla's ideas were, and this helped him to solidify his lead. By the way, the spark plug and the radio controller, both invented by Tesla. So if that doesn't put him up above fucking I got a goddamn light bulb that I adapted from someone else, Edison, that I don't know what will. Alex Bogey, Atlanta, stop the steal. Pro-life heckler distracted. There's so many super chats. I don't know if I'm trying to get to them all. D. Bobcal, Psychonauts is a platform by Tim Schafer where you explore the broken minds of various people. It has a psychedelic art style you might enjoy. Yeah, I don't do the psychedelia stuff much anymore, though. I like open world first-person shooters, preferably with crafting systems. Nelson's TAS and Game Archive. Take a sec. Look up the MR5070 BFR and the Anzio 20mm. Interesting. Sigil Stone 17. Have you heard of Mad Gad by Phil Tippett? Stop-motion animator that worked on OG Star Wars and RoboCop. I bet you'll love it. That sounds good. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. Do the Dutch still want to leave the EU? Depends on the person. I don't think it's a huge pressing issue now. I think the Eastern Europeans at the moment are the most riled up with Orban and so forth over migrants, more than the Western Europeans as things stabilize economically. Bumper Hooten, hi from Manitoba, Canada. Manitoba has the highest rate of fetal alcohol syndrome globally. Your stance on chemical castration for serial offenders? Yeah, that's all right. Castrating people who are like, I don't know. Do you mean giving birth to alcohol babies? Yeah, that's all right. Whatever. Ian Strung Out Guitars. Hey, Sticks, if you ever want a completely handmade custom guitar, check out Ian Strung Out Guitars. It's just my wife and I. Love your occult vids. I don't know how to play any musical instrument other than I can plink out on a keyboard a little bit. But yes, so Ian Strung Out Guitars. People can look that up if they're looking for a new instrument. Orchid Finance. Where's that awesome leather vest you used to wear? You should wear that vest next time you do a live chat. The vest is upstairs, actually. But I mean, it's sweltering hot here by my standards because I'm a Vermonter. The Dutch think that this climate is cold. I think it's tropical. Literally, you can grow things from March to November. That's tropics to me. And so keeping that in mind, sometimes I don't want to wear the coat. Ejiro, Sticks, I've been a fan since 2014. I watched your debate with Anomaly. I think he is a walking contradiction and he doesn't realize it. Agreed. At least, unlike the amazing atheist, he's not still salty about being, punished. Ian Angel, been listening for years. I've heard, have you heard the theory Jim Carrey is using deepfake and is playing Biden like on SNL? Have a Red Bull on me. Peace out. That'll buy 2 Red Bulls, actually, which is very exciting. I don't believe in that. I think the deepfake thing is basically plausible deniability in the future when elites get caught out on video doing naughty things, like smoking crack or being with underage people at Epstein Island. Yeah, that's what I think about it. But it will be used against dissidents. At some point, they will attempt to target dissidents by making fakes of them. It won't be for prosecutorial reasons. Once you put it out in the public and you leak it through the right channels, it'll be taken as true by the right people, spread online through bots mainly, and then people will just believe it. Doesn't matter if it's disproved later because the retraction is always on page 3. Mark Thrasher, to help you out, the Romania comments, the dictator's name is pronounced Ceausescu. Oh, okay, that helps. Ceausescu. I would never have guessed that. Sigil Stone 17, Mad God, Sticks. Rusty Shackelford, have you played Red Dead Redemption 2? No, and I never played the initial Red Dead Redemption, I think, either. Choke point, on a side note, Texas also passes a law making soliciting someone for prostitution a felony. They actually passed 666 new laws. See, I don't think that should be a felony. It's a victimless crime, more or less. Yeah. I don't agree with that. But at least they got constitutional carry and their election will be defortified. So that's a couple good things. FOMO, over 1 million abortions in the U.S. every year. Taxpayer funded. We fund worldwide. Conception is the only scientifically discernible start to new life. Love you, but you need to apply principles to it. Okay, well then do you have a problem with the fact that at 5 weeks people can still abort in Texas? Or that they can abort using abortifacients, literally herbs from the garden at a few months after. Nobody's going to catch them. Oh, the heartbeat was detected? No, it doesn't matter. They'll just go to the herbalist instead of to the doctor. It'll still happen. Not a single life will be saved. John Matthew, more Minecraft, please. Yeah, I've thought about that, but like by now, Minecraft's probably perverted way beyond the initial scope of the game. I wouldn't even know how to play it probably by now. The Arcadian 300, I find Tim Pool very irritating recently. He should go back to proper journalism. I don't know that he's irritating. It's just that sometimes he's a little bit black-pilled. So try to white pill him. Well, where's Edge? Hey, Sticks, did you see the reports that our equipment from Afghanistan is spotted in Iran? That may or may not be hearsay, but it wouldn't surprise me much. John Casey, could a vaccine mandate be used to justify a circumcision mandate? Potentially. Weirder things have happened under U.S. law. Mark Peterson, please wear a clown costume next live stream with circus music, of course. Yeah, but the circus music would have to be non-copyrighted. That's the only problem. And I don't have a clown mask. The King 978, you scared to debate Hunter Avalon? I don't think he's ever challenged me to a debate. I often hear how I'm scared of people, and I've, heard of them but don't know anything about them, or I literally don't even know who it is. This happens like on a regular basis. I think it's the fan bases of other people that are just trying to antagonize me because I have a good audience. Mr. Friendly B, Sticks, if the dinner is ready before Biden, will you eat in front of the camera? No, never. You'll never see me chewing food on camera, except for that one rare time when I was just pissing all over Razor Fist's heresy with regards to pineapple pizza. So I had the medium rare steak and the pineapples on the pizza, and I couldn't help myself. Also, I was fucking hungry as hell. It was a great pizza. It tasted amazing. The Fat Controller. Instead of a 1911, find a good use Smith & Wesson 4506. Looks a bit like a double action 1911, is very accurate and built like a tank. Now I'm going to go with the classic look. There was actually one available at Cragen's when I was there the last time, but I passed it up because I wanted another revolver. Savvy D, there's a new COVID variant called the Mu that is immune to the vaccine. The mandates are looking more and more senseless by the day. I'll have to look that up. Again, sometimes you get like tip-offs like that, and it comes from like, some tertiary site or something, but yeah, you never know. Conundrum 5087. Would you debate secular talk on any issue? I'd love to see you destroy him. Razor debated him on guns, and Razor seemed like he was losing. I doubt that. I keep hearing from the secular talk fans that Razor did badly, which means that he probably did well. I don't think he wants to debate me, though. Isn't that the dude that thought that I was a Holocaust denier and disregarded me out of hand on a stream once? I think it was him. So fuck him. I'm not going to debate him at all. Steve Aoki is Chinese spy. Sticks, your hair looks majestic. What shampoo do you use? Every other day or every third day, I actually use shampoo, and that's one of the secrets. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. It's some shampoo specifically for blonde people, though. It's like a purple goop. Purple shampoo. Yeah, they market it here for people that are light-haired because that's most of the population. I think it works well. I don't know what's in it. Don't know nothing about it. Don't even know what company makes it. Unspotted music. If Roe was protected under the 14th Amendment Due Process Clause, how is the fetus not protected as well? Also, doesn't abortion violate the NAP? Well, it could be construed that way. What we do know violates the NAP beyond a shadow of the doubt is the state coming in and telling a woman what to do, especially when it's not going to work anyway. That just goes into pragmatism. It's waste. Silver Stacks, raccoons attacked my garden and ate my green peppers and pooped everywhere, but didn't touch the tomatoes or cannabis. Thoughts? Well, you can get high and make tomato sauce. Always turn lemons into lemonade. The Pounder. That time you drank a raw egg with ketchup. Yeah, that was fun. I should do a raw egg challenge where I'd like have a half a dozen of them in shot glasses or something. Thought about that. Rally Gal 94. So you think occultism is an untapped uniter for millennials and a spiritual revival might be what many people need? Yes, I think that the move towards secularity has left a vacuum in people's lives. Spirituality is partially biological in derivation, indirectly. And I think there is an occult revival going on now. Wonderful. Great time to be alive for someone who likes to edit occult works. I'm having a great time. We caught up with the super chats. Biden's still not live. He was supposed to, is it actually 31 or is that just frozen? Let me check. 43 minutes ago, they started streaming. Yeah. We will begin shortly. Yeah, shortly. How short do you mean? Andre the Giant short? Unspotted music. Due process clause answer. Thanks, Sticks. Due process in regards to fetuses? No, the fetus is not protected by due process because the fetus is not automatically granted personhood under the Constitution. You can say it's life, while a cat is life. Bacterium are life. At what point does the self, in the sense of being a biological thing, which is alive, which isn't, that's not debated, turn into a person that's given certain rights and privileges? Well, that's a subjective argument. It's one that's not cleared up by SCOTUS either. One thing that a lot of people are saying, dumb argument, it's a human DNA. Okay, well, if I take a piece of my organ out and keep it on life support, it's got human DNA. Is it not a person then? Is it the capability of becoming a fully fledged human? Is it the mere presence of human DNA? Is it biological functions commensurate with a vascular system, a neural network? I mean, define what personhood specifically involves in the civic sense. Again, you've got to be careful, because under legal terms, things are different from what you perceive of in your opinion. Your opinion, you may think that it's completely ironclad. It could be wrapped in 1,000 pages of biological agreement, but that doesn't necessitate that it is accepted civically. Kevin W., they literally wait till Styx almost ends his stream because they can't stand the Clank Army. Yeah, it seems like these people just want to screw with independent commentators. That's a joke. I don't think that's the reason. I think Biden's getting a briefing before his speech, and he's being told what he can and cannot say, what he should and should not answer if he answers anything at all. And be skeptic. Hi, Sticks. Well, hello. Conundrum 5087. You state that the MyPillow guy is a sellout. I'm not saying you're wrong, but hasn't he lost a lot of money being associated with Trump? Just curious. Yes, and so he spurged out and he started grandstanding. He figured, well, he wisely decided, I'm not going to get back in the good graces of the lame streamers, so I'll just go more edgy. There's nothing to lose. Anyone who is going to cancel me already did. I might as well be more edgy, get more attention, and sell more pillows. I'm not saying that he's unwise. I'm not even, from a branding perspective, there's nothing wrong with what he did. But he presumably knows better than to think that the non-evidence that he put out at the beginning of August was going to magically reinstate Trump, unless he's back on the fucking pipe again. And if that's the case, then it would explain his bizarre behavior. Elfin Jedi 87. I don't remember Trump being this late. No, he would do the fashionably late thing where it's like 5-10 minutes later. He was never this late, though, as far as I know. Goodest Goy. Life granted at conception. It's a human in a stage of life. Your skin or bacteria does not become a human. Lives will be saved. Always more to do. Well, no, the Texas bill will not save a single life under your understanding of what life is. People will just go out of state, or they'll use the medical emergency exception by puncturing their cervix. This will lead to more dead females. It will not lead to a single abortion not being delivered, except in the case that non-abortion leads to a child that ends up in the state's custody and ends up costing taxpayers a bunch of money and being indoctrinated by the time it's an adult. I don't see that as merciful. I mean, putting myself in those shoes, I'd rather be aborted too, I guess. Abraham Lincoln. Sticks, when did you physically come into existence? I don't know. I don't even really have an opinion on that sort of thing. I'm talking about civics. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. Bernie offered Uncle Joe a lifetime supply of Ben & Jerry's ice cream in exchange for a floor vote for Medicare for all. Would Uncle Joe go for it? No, because, I mean, his lifetime, how long will that be? He's had several aneurysms and several falls in the last year, so he'd hold out. He'd hold out for a bunch of crack. He'd give it to Hunter. Someone you may know. I may be a few years younger than you, but even I remember when shortly meant something. Yeah, not since the Biden asterisk administration began. Shortly my ass. It feels like most of the stream is, me doing super chats or just mouthing off. I mean, it's my president, man. I want to see the president speak. Fenris Wolf 007. The problem that we should be focusing on is people trying to sift through my wallet because of decisions that they made. Having sex is a decision. I think that would solve a lot of the problems. Well, sex is fairly natural and everyone does it. So expecting people to be like chaste and having like a Victorian view of it just is not going to work. And it never did in the past, by the way, either. It was just a dirty secret. There were plenty of unplanned pregnancies back in the day, including bastard children and everything else under the sun. And it led to societal problems. Toasty, existence was the name of the last Super Chat's mum. Yeah. Cole Dennis, how long do you give the U.S. before we implode? Read somewhere that empires last an average of 250 years. USA will be 250 years old in 2025. Yes, but it wasn't an empire until the early 20th century. So I guess we'll last for 5 or 6 more generations. That's what I expect, actually, especially based on demographics related to population density. A lot of the world, they've expended their available land. All they can do is subdivide it further. We got plenty of land in the United States. We can always annex Canada. It's not like the Canadians are doing anything worthwhile with it. Man of culture, not making a moral argument, but if it wasn't for abortion, blacks would still be the lead minority and we wouldn't need immigration. 34+ million killed. Yeah, I mean, you know, some of the ethno-nats will look at that the way opposite that you mean it, I think. In fact, they do. Just use 4chan sometime. God, so many super chats. I'm doing my best. Ian Angel, Biden is late. Where is his wristwatch? Lol. He's probably got it around his ankle. He had to put something in place of the ankle monitor. He felt lonely. Alden the Blue. Speaking of Ben & Jerry's, I wonder if that's the cause for delay. Maybe they caught him eating that stupid ice cream for dogs. Yeah, maybe he's got diabetes. He just got diagnosed. He has to take his insulin shot. David S., 2 things on your abortion comments. When exactly does life begin? It depends on who you ask. I'm not the moral arbiter. My concern is for pragmatic civics. If you want to go the moral route, if you want to base it on religion, Christianity says it's at the quickening. That's like, 4 months in. If you base it on biology and insofar as cognition goes, it certainly wouldn't be at 6 weeks. I think it'd be at roughly 3 months. Now, pick your poison. Odranol Xanatram. For those who are right-leaning and libertarian-leaning as well, instead just listen to Tom Wood's Libertarian Argument Against Abortion, episode 484. Stop using the sword of the state or it'll turn. EpicMan004. The best form of birth control is joining 4chan. No, the best form is becoming a leftist. Just ask any of the leftoids. If they get laid at all, I mean, you're getting laid by a breadliner, it's, not going in very far. So you don't have to worry about pregnancy, I guess. It just spews all over the place impotently. They've all got impotence. Ian Angel, I already read that one. Sorry. Let's see. Muttdog SD, thanks for what you do, Styx. I'll be delving into the Styx book selection very soon. Looking forward to a game streaming future for Variety. And by the way, Biden is going live.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I was getting further updates.
I
spoke with Governor Hochul of New York and Governor Murphy of New Jersey. And I plan to speak with Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania after last night's devastating storm and floods from Hurricane Ida, the 5th largest hurricane in our history. Record rain fell in these states. New York recorded more rain yesterday, the first day of September, than it usually sees the entire month of September. We saw more than 3 inches of rain per hour fall in Central Park. The United States.
By the way, why isn't it that all the legacy media hacks that talked about Trump supposedly using like orange tanner, why do they never talk about all the plastic surgery making this dude like so squinty he can barely see out of his eyes? They never asked that question.
National Weather Service issued a flood emergency in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, and parts of Long Island last night. This is the first time that such a warning has ever been issued for the city. People were trapped in the subways. Heroic.
They should have let New York. They should have abandoned New York. I'm sure that the average person in New York State wouldn't mind.
The women
just saying.
New York Fire Department rescued all of them. They were trapped. We're seeing the same story of devastation and heroism across New Jersey and Pennsylvania as well. For now, 11 people in New York and New Jersey died because of the storm.
Meanwhile, nothing to say about all the hundreds that died in Afghanistan. By the way, at the end of this, I do not expect him to take questions because he's too big a pathetic pussy to do that.
And I want to express my heartfelt thanks to all the first responders and everyone who's been working through the night and well into the morning to save lives and get power back. There's a lot of damage, and I made clear to the governors that my team at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, is on the ground and ready to provide all the assistance that's needed. In fact, our FEMA Director Administrator, excuse me, Deanna Griswold.
Sounds like Biden just smoked weed beforehand. FEMA, yeah, baby. It'd be funny if he did. He's in D.C., right? It's legal there. Why doesn't he smoke a bong? Maybe he'd be more coherent. It can help with dementia symptoms.
Well,
supposedly.
Will was a chief federal response officer after Superstorm Sandy in 2012. She knows what to do. And last night, at the request of California Governor Newsom, I approved an emergency declaration for California for the Calder fire, which is burning aggressively toward Lake Tahoe Basin and into Nevada. It's also one of the few fires that has ever burned from one side of Sierra Nevada's mountain range to the other. So far, it's burned more than 200,000 acres.
So this is going to devolve into a climate change rant. As he's going to begin ignoring the actual damage from Ida, fires, whatever, and start rambling about how we need to pass the new Green Deal portion of the infrastructure bill, probably.
Tens of thousands of people have had to evacuate their homes. The fire is threatening close to 35,000 structures, and more than 4,400 firefighters from the state and my federal team are working to contain and suppress this raging wildfire. The Department of Defense has trained and is deploying additional firefighters to support our ongoing firefighting efforts in California. This disaster declaration will help with evacuation, including sheltering and feeding.
We all know how good Joe is at evacuating people. Oh, that'll go over really, really well. Hey, yeah, sorry we're 3 days late and you're all charbroiled. Here's their remains, their charred remains. Give it to the family. Summarily cremate them so they're not so decrepit, looking like the crypt keeper.
For those who have been displaced. I want you to know, I've seen these firefighters up close. Their courage is astounding. And they're some of the bravest people I've ever known. I've known a lot of them. My heart goes out to them. My thanks is an abundant thanks for what they do. Now I want to provide an update on our efforts to help millions of Americans down south recover and rebuild from Hurricane Ida.
We're going to give them some money.
We've been monitoring this hurricane closely and the devastation it's caused. To date, 6 deaths. About 1 million homes without power in Louisiana and Mississippi. While the catastrophic flooding wasn't as severe as it was during Hurricane Katrina 16 years ago, Ida was so powerful that it caused the Mississippi River literally to change direction, change the flow temporarily. The good news is that as a result of significant multi-billion-dollar federal investment in the levee system around Metro New Orleans, it held. It was strong. It worked. But too many people and too many areas are still unprotected. And so
we need more money for them levees, basically. We need to levy off all of Louisiana, all of the Gulf Coast, because climate change. Give us more money. We'll get it done.
A storm surge and flooding that was devastating. We've seen the reports of winds up to 170 miles per hour. It's not been confirmed yet by FEMA, but 170 miles an hour, causing unimaginable damage with debris and down power lines, making roads impassable and slowing response efforts to save folks and property.
Folks and property. Imagine trying to read the script when you're Joe Biden. You can barely see out of your Botoxed eyes. By the way, I can't stop yawning when I listen to these people. This is why I don't want to be a politician, because I'd be like on a debate stage. The other person's got 30 seconds to talk. I'd already be fucking yawning because everything they say is so fucking boring. They don't even use like swear words or say anything exciting. It's like, well, I've got a plan. I'm going to invest $30 million over the next 2 years to increase the tomato output in order to make more ketchup, because this will provide 5,000 jobs to our economy. And it's like by the time they're at the end, you've forgotten what they've said most of the time. And I think that that's actually by design. And Biden's a master at that, running out the clock.
People continue to shelter in place. Tomorrow, I'll be traveling to Louisiana to meet with Governor John Bell Edwards, as well as the parish presidents and mayors and the local officials representing the affected areas. Governor Edwards encouraged me to come and assured me that my visit will not disrupt recovery efforts on the ground. That's what I wanted to be sure of. My message to everyone affected is we're all in this together. The nation is here to help.
No, we're not all in this together. The states should be handling that themselves, and federal aid will only go so far. It's funny because they all wanted the federal government to do more with the COVID response initially, but the federal government basically just frees up money. FEMA can only do so much. They can coordinate. They can send some trucks out and shit and give people some stuff. But by and large, there's most of it's state level, as it should be. Not every state has to deal with hurricanes. That'd be like if Vermont has a blizzard, buries everything in 5 feet of snow. Well, that's just a normal year. And we're like, hey, Texas, give us some fucking money. Send some cactus juice up here. We need it. People are bored.
That's the message I've been making clear to the mayors, governors, energy and utility leaders in the region who my administration has been working closely with over the past few days. Working with governors in the area, even before Ida made landfall, I issued emergency declarations for Louisiana and Mississippi to help us respond quickly.
He was just hoping to be able to disarm people like happened after Hurricane Katrina.
FEMA pre-positioned more than 4.3 million meals and more than 3 million liters of water and other critical resources in the region before it hit. We deployed more than 250 generators, and we're working to getting more into the area, especially the hospitals in desperate need of them.
Yes, by the way, and people are noticing this. He is slurring his speech more than he did even just a week ago. This started a couple of speeches ago. He has notably begun to have more of a speech impediment with regards to certain sounds than he did before. I knew that I wasn't the only one who noticed this. Other people, I mean, the legacy media is reluctant to talk about such things. They're just afraid, oh, maybe he was chewing gum beforehand. He ate a bunch of ice cream. His mouth is slightly numb. That's the reason why. That has to be the reason.
The Department of Health and Human Services deployed a 250-bed federal medical shelter in New Orleans and 5 medical assistance teams available throughout the state. Since the hurricane hit, more than 6,000 members of the National Guard have been activated in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas, and other states to support search and rescue and recovery efforts. For those who have lost their homes, states have been working with the American Red Cross to open almost.
For those who lost your homes, we're going to give you $500. Yay! I think the other day he actually mentioned that they're going to be giving $500 out to people who have been displaced. I'm like, okay. Oh, they could be in a hotel for like 3 or 4 nights. If they're willing to really rough it, they can get a week or so. Prices have risen, Joe. You know, put another 0 on that. At least they can get some of Hunter Biden's crack and off themselves in some semblance of dignity.
Almost 50 shelters across the Gulf Coast. We know that there is much to be done in this response on our part.
None of which Biden will do.
We need to get power restored. We need to get more food, fuel, and water deployed.
I'll be restoring power to the Institute later in Fallout. I think that's more meaningful than anything Biden's done in his presidency, playing a fucking video game.
I get hourly updates on the progress from FEMA well into the night. And we'll be working around the clock until the critical needs of the region are fully met. And
I like how there are some people from Twitch that appear not to enjoy my commentary. Well, I mean, I'm there anyway. You can have your echo chambers. Just, why don't you sit and actually hear something funny for a change? You're not getting it from any of the bitchy leftist comedians, so-called. You're not getting it from the Democratic politicians. The funniest thing you get from Biden is that he constantly slurs his speech and doesn't know where he is. Like when he was doing his initial Hurricane Ida address, he tried to wander off to the side. People started clapping. He looked like a deer in the headlights, then gave an impromptu speech that was all over the place. As far as being a Trumper, no, I am not a hardcore Trumper, nor am I a Republican or a conservative. I have common sense, which puts me, head and shoulders above most leftoids.
We will meet them. Even as we tackle the core elements of the disaster response, we're also deploying new tools to help speed this recovery, things that have not been used very much in prior hurricane responses. Working with private companies that own and operate the lifeline infrastructure.
The federal government has never worked with private companies on disaster response before. This is unheard of. This is Biden's idea of new. What is this, fucking 1940?
Like electricity and communications. We've used the latest technology to accelerate restoration of power and cell phone service. It's beginning to get back up, but there's a long way to go. For example, to minimize the amount of time it will take to get the power back to everyone,
to minimize the amount of time it takes to get the power to people, I've taken a bunch of rodents, put them on little wheels, and attached them to a dynamo. And all you have to do is give them some sweet corn, and they'll provide enough power to run some light bulbs. And then those light bulbs, we can use them to write down notes, and we can power even a telephone. Them newfangled things, that's how we're going to get through this, America.
Directed the Federal Aviation Commission,
movable
the FAA,
type,
to authorize the use of surveillance drones to assess Ida's damage to energy infrastructure.
Did you just hear him accidentally say assist Ida's damage? I'm sure you will, Joe.
Ensuring those flights do not disrupt aerial search and rescue missions. Likewise, I've asked the Pentagon, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Energy to immediately make available any satellite imagery they can help provide in assessing the extent of the damage.
We've hired extra people to look at homes that have been completely collapsed and guesstimate how much they were worth before they were completely destroyed. This pile is, I'd give it 50 grand. That pile is a lot more charred. I think they're only getting 35. But we'll give them both $500 anyway. We're feeling generous today. Biden's disaster response.
Make the work faster by getting to the places that are most desperately in need. They can identify where the lines are down, map the damage, help get the transmission lines back up and running in all the parishes.
Somebody convinced Biden's staff that the way to tell if the line is down is to touch it. Disclaimer, that's just a joke. And keep in mind, he's reading a script. This is not an impromptu speech. He's not delivering it for off the cuff or anything. Much like most politicians, he's incapable of giving an off the cuff speech because they're not talented enough to do so. I can sit here and stream for several hours live without any notes whatsoever. The average politician's not capable of doing what I do.
But people, hard-working people, do the complicated and dangerous work. There are more than 25,000 linemen and clearance crews from 32 states in the District of Columbia racing to restore power. In Alabama, 2 have died on the job. This is complicated and really dangerous.
They got electrified, these linemen. Wasn't there a song from the 70s, a fairly famous one, that was about like the Kentucky linemen or something like that? And it was one of those songs like Convoy and all that shit they had in the 70s that sort of glorified the working class. I bet that Biden sits there in his suspenders and he listens to that shit while eating ice cream. That's what I bet he does. And with a tear in his eye, thinking back to his young adulthood, or middle age, actually, back in the 70s, I think.
Dangerous work. But we're moving as fast as humanly possible to get it done.
Doing the best we can.
It's important to know that the region hit by Ida is the key center of our nation's oil production and refining infrastructure.
I thought oil was evil,
That's why
Joe.
We're not waiting to assess the full impact of the storm is going to have on oil production and refineries. We're moving
Oil is very important. That's why I stopped Keystone XL.
Already, quickly, to increase the availability of gas and easing the pressure on gas prices around the country. I've directed the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, to use all of the tools at her disposal, including using the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to keep gas flowing to the pumps. In order to get critical supplies to the region to beat the pandemic, I directed the Department of Transportation to renew an energy declaration to provide flexibility on how many hours a truck driver can drive.
It's okay if the truck driver's got 60 hours under his belt. I mean, if he goes off the road, he goes off the road. If he hydroplanes, well, everything's wet anyway. It's okay. By the way, this is the same Joe Biden that when Hurricane Ida was bearing down on the region was like, well, if you have to flee, please shelter in place if you can. But if you have to flee, make sure to bring a mask, socially distanced, because we're fighting something way bigger. Yeah, to the tens of thousands of people that have been displaced in that region, I'm sure that that was their main priority. Oh, our house is gone? Thank goodness I wore a mask.
Most people don't know there's a limitation on the number of hours you can be on the road.
Who is not aware that there's a limitation on that for truckers at this point? Most people aren't aware of the fact that truck drivers aren't allowed to drive 24/7, 7 days a week, and just continuously inject themselves with stimulants. I never knew that. Holy shit.
The Transportation Department is broadening that emergency declaration to include transportation of gasoline and other types of fuel as well. In addition,
that's just what I want. The trucker that's driving, 10,000 gallons of liquefied natural gas hasn't slept in 3 days. That's a recipe for success. I guess in Joe Biden's mind, well, everything's flooded, which means it's wet. So if the natural gas truck goes off the road and blows up, it's not going to start many fires because everything's been flooded, right? This is Joe Biden's logic, probably. He probably believes that, and I wish it were hyperbole.
Medical supplies and food. In addition, the environmental...
I mean, if I'm down there and the truck goes by and the dude falls asleep and all of a sudden 100,000 MREs come cascading out of the truck, I'd be pretty happy, in all honesty.
Protection Agency has approved emergency waivers for Louisiana and Mississippi that will expand the supply of gasoline that can be sold in those states and increase availability at such a critical time.
See, why would you want to do that when you've closed off Keystone XL and you're trying to be a climate warrior or some stupid shit like that? Why would you want to increase the flow of that? Why don't you bring a bunch of solar arrays in? You can bring trucks and trucks of solar panels, hook them up to little generators and battery systems. Why don't you use green energy? I'm sure I shouldn't give Ocasio-Cortez any ideas. She'll be pushing that in the next infrastructure bill, I guess.
Reduce the risk of gas shortages and price increases as a result of the hurricane. We also know a lot of people lost cell phone service because their particular carrier's tower went down.
Oh, no.
Or got damaged. A few days ago, I asked...
That means that all their kids are very, very angry. And Joe Biden wants to make them happy so that they'll come up and he can sniff them.
The Communications Commission, the FCC, and my White House team to work with the cell phone.
Yeah, cool. Oh, no, I can't play Candy Crush now. Oh, my God, I can't text message people. Oh, I would say, I can't call people on the phone, but apparently nobody uses phones for phone calls anymore, and I'm the only one. I even piss Liz off. Like, she's like, oh, just text me, don't call me. And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck is a phone for? It was invented for phone calls. What do you mean?
Phone companies to allow customers to use roaming services. So that means that folks in the area should be able to get a signal no matter what carrier they're on. If their one carrier's down, they can roam and use another carrier they're not part of. They're not...
I thought all the climate change hawks thought that the New Orleans region would be underwater by now anyway. So why doesn't Biden just tell them, hey, you should move out? Fuck the whole region. Get away from the coast. It's all going to be underwater in 10 years. Bill Gates told me so. Why don't you tell people the truth according to your own fucking standards? Yeah, how long before he mentions his dead son? Yeah, when are you going to mention Beau Biden? Well, Beau Biden, he basically drowned. He drowned in uranium, but, it's a big problem.
Signed up with. Just think of the sons and the daughters and the moms and dads and loved ones trying to reach each other.
Spare us the sob story.
Fear, maybe something happened.
This is
because they can't. The cell phone's not working.
This is the shit that he pulled when he was doing the Afghan withdrawal thing. Did you catch that? Oh, think of the sons and daughters and the emptiness, the darkness inside. It's like a black hole, and you just can't get out. Yeah, that makes your decision making way better. The fact that people are sad.
Think of the millions of people reaching out for help.
They're reaching for help.
This is important and it's critical.
It's critical.
Now, A lot of private companies and public entities are doing their part. Today, I'm calling on insurance companies not to evade their responsibility to keep the priorities they made to their customers and the promises they made, and help some folks who are hurting. Here's the deal. FEMA is providing critical need assistance, for example, to help with a hotel bill you racked up because you couldn't stay in your home during the hurricane.
Of course, you'll have to fill out a 10-page fucking form, and it'll take 5 or 6 months. And you'll be taxed on it as income, probably. So, fuck you.
The Department of Housing and Urban Affairs, HUD, is also offering assistance to families in impacted areas. But right now, we're hearing reports that some insurance companies may deny coverage for additional living assistance expenses unless the homeowner was under a mandatory evacuation order. So people
Then they should have checked their fucking goddamn contracts and gone with a company able to provide that. That's a private contract between private individuals and a private group. It's not necessarily a good thing, but they made a mistake, and it shouldn't be society paying for it over and over again. We can't keep nullifying people's own fucking personal responsibilities. Read the paperwork, find out what it covers. If you cheap out and it's like, well, your area is not under an emergency order, ergo, because of line 3 here, we don't have to pay anything. Why would they pay if they don't have to fucking pay? Either write a new regulation, which will make insurance more expensive for everyone, or tell them to fucking belly up to the bar and do what they fucking need to do. We're calling on the insurance companies to do the right thing. The right thing is that for their stockholders and for the other insurance holders in their company, they have to be solvent. Otherwise, how the hell are they supposed to give insurance to anyone?
people pay their insurance premiums.
It's their fault. They're greedy.
They're supposed to get
No, the
payments from
government's
their
greedy.
insurance companies for relocation costs. But insurance companies, in the face of the strongest storm since
Yeah, smooth bandit. Biden asked insurance companies to be compassionate. Exactly. Biden, what the fuck planet is he living on? Insurance companies are cutthroat. Read the paperwork. That's all you have to do. You expect them to be cutthroats. You go to get insurance, auto, home, whatever the fuck you're getting, expect them to look for cop-outs. It's how they make money. Insurance wouldn't exist if it weren't profitable. Insurance is a scam. Every form of insurance, health insurance, life insurance, homeowners insurance, fire insurance, flood insurance, car insurance, it's all a goddamn scam. No reasonable person would even participate in it unless the government kept browbeating people about it. We should be in a society where you don't need insurance, that it's not necessary. That's what we should be striving for. Fuck the insurance companies. We're asking you to be compassionate. Be generous. Give people money that they're not owed and screw everyone else with their plans and raise their rates. That won't cause them to cheap out and get lower plans.
1850. Say, no, we're not going to pay you what we owe you. Because the fact is...
But they don't owe them, Joe. See, he can even turn a totally natural event into a political diatribe about how private companies are supposedly responsible for people's ills. Now, the government created the problem. Again, the insurance wouldn't be half as expensive if not for all the fucking regulations. Maybe you should tell people the truth. Hey, move away from the coast. You realize you're in a hurricane zone, right? You built your house below sea level in an area that almost yearly gets Cat 3 and 4 hurricanes. What do you expect to happen? Oh, I built my house in Tornado Alley, and I didn't build it out of bricks. Yeah, I built it out of straw instead. Yeah, I built this house with a flat roof in a blizzard zone where you regularly get 3 or 4 feet of snow at a time. That'll be great. By the way, I need insurance on this, and I expect them to be generous. They should pay out whether they owe me or not. That's not the way the world works, Joe.
Louisiana, like New Orleans and St. John's, issued a voluntary evacuation order at first.
Fuck
and
insurance.
may not have even had
and the government
time to make a mandatory.
Fuck the world.
Storm moved in so fast.
They didn't have time to evacuate. Well, again, no evacuation was issued for many areas, specifically because there was no capability to evacuate safely. Hence NOLA, so forth. The federal government built more levees, but they didn't decide to expand a highway. They didn't create a way for people to actually escape. Now you got some people dead. Again, I guess Joe Biden wants to take credit every time something goes right. Why doesn't he take any responsibility regardless of how wrong it goes? That's my biggest problem with this whole administration.
Parishes, a voluntary evacuation order suggested that residents could try to protect themselves by sheltering in place against the ferocious winds.
I remember they were saying in certain areas you should stay in your basement because of the risk of tornadoes. And I'm thinking, if there is a flood, isn't that the worst place in your house you could be? Oh yeah, thank goodness there's a tornado up there. I'm safe. Blah, blah, blah. This is Joe Biden logic for you. That wasn't Biden that suggested that, but I did see that on several news networks at the time. Then some people spurred out. They were angry at me because I was getting the clankers in to troll a couple of live chats, storm watchers. And I'm thinking, if that's the advice they're giving you, they deserve it.
We can
That's
all
just called
understand
humor.
why folks felt
Something
safe
that a lot of
leaving
people
their
don't
homes and
have.
going elsewhere, out of the path of the devastating storm. No one fled this killer storm because they were looking for a vacation or a road trip. They were able to stay in a hotel. They left their homes because they felt it was flee or risk death.
And so the insurance companies need to be more generous, screw all the other policyholders, raise their rates and or fold and go completely bankrupt because a handful of people didn't read the bottom line on junk flood insurance while being in a goddamn hurricane zone in southern Louisiana. How nuts can you possibly be? How much more pandering can Joe be doing here? I am very, very sad about people who lost their house. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Nothing but sympathy, but you've got to read the policy. Please, do what you need to do. Get that crazy relative that wears tinfoil hats and is kind of dabbles in legalese to read it over before you sign it. Do something cautionary. Do it yourself. Well, they need to be generous. They need to be compassionate. They can't be, Joe. Believe it or not, their overall yearly profits aren't as excessive as you believe. A few hundred extra policies they pay out, some of these companies will piss away all of their yearly gains. Then their policyholders will have to absorb it. Government's not going to do it.
Voluntary about that. So I'm calling on the private insurance companies right now at this critical moment.
Right now, I'm calling on you. I'll take you behind the woodshed if you don't do what I suggest you do. It'll become mandatory.
Don't hide behind the fine print and technicality. Do your job.
Oh, shut up.
Keep your commitments to your communities that you insure.
Keep your commitments that you didn't actually make to 1 or 2% of your policyholders while fucking the other 99, 98%. That's basically what he's telling them to do.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
And pay your policyholders what you owe them.
But they don't. They don't owe them anything.
Natural disaster.
Oh no!
Help those.
Wasn't an evacuation zone.
That's what all of us need.
Meanwhile, I wonder what political proclivities were behind the local politicians who didn't issue a disaster, an evacuation order. Can anyone guess what largely urban politicians tend to lean towards? I bet that won't be mentioned here. Again, there's a reason why I doubt he'll take questions at the end of this.
That's what we're trying to do. FEMA has
Wow.
pushed out $77 million to the people of Louisiana so far, individuals. My message to the people of the Gulf Coast, who I'm going to visit tomorrow, we are here for you. And we're making sure the response and recovery is equitable. So that those hit hard.
Why do they keep using the term equity? Is it because they don't know what it means or because they know full well what the postmodern meaning is and they're trying to do the id poll thing? This is all for votes. They're just pandering at this point. Please be more compassionate. To people who clearly, I mean, if they didn't read the fine print, they don't understand how flood insurance works. So, we're going to grandstand. We'll get a few extra thousand votes in Louisiana next in the midterms. Yay! This is basically a campaign speech for Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Hardest get the resources they need and are not left behind. Whether you're a homeowner, a renter, a parent, a small business owner, no matter who you are, if you live in the affected area,
unless you have a MAGA hat on,
please
right?
visit disasterassistance.gov. Go online and visit disasterassistance.gov.
Hey, go on there. Be like, oh, a dirty bomb went off in my toilet earlier. I think it was terrorists that got out of Afghanistan because of your botching. Now everything's a mess. Everything's been painted with a smear. Shouldn't have eaten those chili burritos, Joe. I'm really sorry about that fact, but I'm going to need about $3.50.
To find help now. That's disasterassistance.gov. Or call 1-800-621 FEMA, F-E-M-A, 1-800-621, FEMA, F-E-M-A, 1-800-621-3362. There's help you can qualify for right away. I've talked.
Remember when 1-800-FUCK-YOU was actually the Obamacare enrollment number? Do you remember that? That wasn't even a meme. When I first saw that report years and years ago when the ACA rolled out, I thought that was bullshit. I figured it was 4chan being 4chan again. Then I realized it was technically real. Oh man, I was laughing.
I've tasked my senior advisor, Cedric Richmond, New Orleans neighbor and former congressman from Louisiana's 2nd District for 10 years, to lead this relief effort.
I bet it'll fail.
He knows the area. He knows the people. He knows how to get things done. He knows they get things done when local, state, and federal level are all working together alongside the private sector. The people of Louisiana.
The private sector that Biden is basically throwing under the bus, asking them to essentially lose their entire businesses to pay out to people they don't know.
Louisiana and Mississippi are resilient and resourceful. We're going to stand with you for as long as it takes to recover and allow you to rebuild.
Imagine being the sign language person, by the way.
The past few days of Hurricane Ida and the wildfires in the West and the unprecedented flash floods in New York and New Jersey.
They're not unprecedented.
Joe
Biden apparently misremembers Hurricane Irene slashing northern New England to pieces years ago. I had footage of it. The first truly popular video I ever uploaded, I think it's still up, is the Hurricane Irene footage from Vermont. You can look that up if you want.
Reminder that these extreme storms.
Very interesting.
And the climate crisis are here.
The climate crisis. Extreme storms are here. If it weren't for human industry, there would never be a hurricane. California would never experience wildfires. Everything would be hunky-dory if it weren't for human beings.
We need to be much better prepared. We need to act.
We need more
Congress
taxes.
returns this month.
I need more money.
I'm going to press further action on my Build Back Better plan. That's going to make historic investments in electrical infrastructure, modernizing our roads, bridges, our water systems.
No, it won't.
Sewer and draining systems.
It'll nationalize cryptocurrency and massively expand taxes and regulations. It probably won't build a single bridge. It's shovel-ready 2.0 over only even worse.
Electric grids and transmission lines and make them more resilient to these superstorms and wildfires and floods that are going to happen with increasing frequency and ferocity. We're reminded that this isn't about politics.
Yes, it is.
Hurricane Ida didn't care if you were a Democrat or a Republican.
It just happened to hit a majority red state area. So
rural or urban, this destruction is everywhere. And it's a matter of life and death, and we're all in this together. This is one of the great challenges of our time, but I'm confident we'll meet it. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing, you've heard me say it before, nothing beyond our capacity when we work together. So for all those who are still in harm's way, or all those struggling to deal with the aftermath of these storms and fires, say, God bless you. Keep the faith. Everyone working day and night.
He wants to sound like a 60s rocker.
God, for their fellow Americans is what this is about. We're going to get this done. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no question answering. Of course, as usual, Beijing Biden not answering any questions about that or any similar topic. Why am I not fucking surprised? I can see the camera again. Yeah, now that it's on the big screen. So yeah, there you go. Live ridicule of Joe Biden. As usual, he's not answering anything. He'll let Jen Psaki come out later and, get pounced on by the media. She'll circle back around. She won't answer questions either. She'll do the roundabout bullshit thing. We've gotten used to this from this administration. There is no accountability whatsoever. There's no attempt to lead. There's no attempt to form apparently a cohesive foreign or domestic strategy. You don't even have much. I mean, you don't even hear much about the infrastructure bill that's stalled out right now. What the fuck is Biden doing? Well, what he's doing is eating ice cream on the taxpayer dole and waiting out the clock as the steward. That's all he's doing. And that's all he's capable of doing because he's literally demented. You think that he's making the calls? He's not calling the shots. Anyway, I'm going to go off now. We're at almost an hour 40 here. That was basically all I wanted to accomplish. I'm glad that he wasn't that late. It wasn't even quite an hour late. Isn't that, it's something different. Biden, I guess they roused him from his nap. They must have shot him full of drugs and given him a double Red Bull in order to get him up at that hour. Normally he's in bed by 1 o'clock, so it's about what happens in the White House these days. So yeah, the cat has spent the entire time there, being the fuzzy buddy. I had to put the robe up here. She loves the red robe for some reason. So yeah, that's about all. Peace out.